Blade was released in 1998, was directed by Stephen Dorff, and it sees Wesley Snipes in his most iconic role to date. This film also stars Wright, Kris Kristofferson, and Stephen Dorff. In this cult classic, we see Wesley Snipes play Blade, the half-human, half-vampire slayer, and he faces his most deadly foe in the form of Deacon Frost, played by Stephen Dorff, and he wishes to unleash the curse of La Magra, the vampire god, which will make him even more powerful and turn the whole world into vampires. And it's up to Blade to stop him. As always, guys, before we go any further, I want you to hit that subscribe button so you can follow this channel. Hit that alarm bell as well so you can get notifications when my video is going to be uploaded, and give this video a like as well. The first time I knew about Blade was from the 1994 cartoon series Spider-Man, which I used to watch religiously as a kid. And when I read an article in Ebony magazine in 1998 that Wesley Snipes was going to do a live-action adaptation of that character, and he said that it was the most physical role that he's ever done, with the most action, the most martial arts, I couldn't wait for it. And Blade still stands as the most significant comic book film of all time. Not enough credit is given to Blade. It received mixed reviews upon its release, but it is a bona fide classic. And I say it's the most significant because in the late 90s, you had 3 comic book films released: Batman and Robin, Spawn, and Steel. These films were both critical and financial failures, and that was considered to be the death knell in the comic book genre. Then Blade came along, and Blade had an irreverent style of storytelling. Blade dispensed with any type of cliche and any type of rule book that was attached to the comic book genre. It gave the audience something completely different. This was the first box office hit for Marvel, that was still in its infancy at the time as a studio, and it set the template for further comic book films to follow, and reignited an interest in comic book movies. And when you look at Blade, you can see this is where Logan and where Deadpool drew its inspiration from. David Esquire, who wrote all 3 Blade films, said that when he was writing it, he only had 3 black actors in mind: Lawrence Fishburne, Denzel Washington, and Wesley Snipes, and he went for Wesley Snipes. And when you look back on those 3 actors, they've all played a similar character to Blade in some shape or form. Denzel Washington playing the loner in the Book of Eli, and Lawrence Fishburne with Morpheus. And Wesley Snipes doesn't get enough credit because whilst the late Chadwick Boseman was considered the first black superhero with Black Panther, Wesley Snipes did it 20 years earlier. And Blade is a rollicking movie from start to finish. Wesley Snipes brings this character to life, and he was the perfect person for the role. And this is a signature role for Wesley. And just like Sean Connery was the best James Bond, Michael Keaton was the best Batman, Christopher Reeve was the best Superman, Wesley Snipes will always be the best Blade, hands down. Just in terms of the charisma, intensity, and athleticism he brings to the role. The opening sequence is just incredible. In the factory where the blood starts coming down and everybody just starts turning into vampires. It is just an adrenaline pumping sequence. And just like Batman in 1989, how it took the comic book genre one step further, Blade did the same thing and took it several steps further. Blade, in its aesthetics, is very opaque. This movie, it doesn't have that much colour in it at all. It's very bleak and it's very gothic, and you can see that it drew inspiration from the likes of The Crow and Tim Burton's Batman. And that as a stark comparison to the sequel, where in Blade 2 you see more colour, it's more vibrant. And just seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade, he embodies that character. He's got the look of Shaft with a long black leather coat, he's got the sunglasses, he's got the bulletproof vest, and he's got an arsenal of weaponry. Blade has an excellent soundtrack, which is a mixture of techno and drum and bass, and it is just as energetic as the film. And while such a soundtrack can seem out of place, it fits certain scenes in the film, especially the fighting sequences. Martial arts and black actors were always synonymous with the 70s. Jim Kelly and Steve Jones were the 2 main black actors / martial artists who could actually authentically do martial arts. And in the blaxploitation era, you had a lot of black actors who couldn't do martial arts but had to pretend that they could, just because that was the in thing to do. And it came across as a fad. Wesley Snipes in the 1990s was one of the top action movie stars of all time. And more importantly than that, as versatile as he was, when he was in his action genre, he displayed some spectacular martial arts skills. And Wesley Snipes is a 5th degree black belt. And he has demonstrated those street lethal martial arts skills in many classics, including Passenger 57, Demolition Man, Money Train. And in Blade, he is at his most athletic. Not only did Wesley Snipes produce Blade, but he was also one of the fight choreographers. And he, along with stunt coordinator and fight coordinator Jeff Ward, who he has collaborated with on countless movies of his, they have choreographed some brutal fight sequences. And it shows the gamut of Wesley Snipes' fighting talents. And I like the fact that these fighting sequences are realistic, they're fast-paced, they're not done in slow motion, and they are very brutal and street. And the first Blade film has the best fight scenes out of the series. It ticks all of the boxes. And whilst some parts of the movie have aged well, some of it hasn't. The CGI in this film looks very stale and very dated, and hasn't held up well at all. Blade has got great casting, great action, and great directing. The casting in this film is what holds the movie together. Wesley Snipes as Blade, outstanding. And whilst Wesley Snipes is a very varied actor, he has done everything across the board. He's done drama, he's done comedy, he's done thriller, and he can do each one just as well. But in Blade, he embodies every characteristic that makes him such a good actor. He brings charm, he brings drama, he brings intensity, he brings comedy in certain scenes of the film, and he brings great athleticism. And I love the relationship between he and Kris Kristofferson. Kris Kristofferson plays Whistler, who develops all of the weapons for Blade. And Kris Kristofferson is just as badass as Wesley Snipes is in this movie. Nabushia Wright as Karen Jensen, she plays a doctor who gets bitten by a vampire in the early scene of the film and then seeks to find a cure, but also aligns herself with Blade and Whistler, helping Blade develop a new serum and also helping him to develop a weapon that will help him explode vampires. And I really do wish that she had a more prominent role in the sequel. It would have been really interesting to see what that dynamic would have been like. Stephen Dorff as Deacon Frost, I thought he was okay as a villain. Menacing in his delivery, but he was alright. But I would say that they actually learnt from their lesson and improved on the villain in a sequel when they hired Luke Goss to play Nomak in Blade 2. Blade is just loaded with so many brilliant moments, from some brilliant one-liners from Wesley Snipes, like some motherfuckers are trying to ice skate uphill, to one brilliant scene where in the final fight, Blade rips out the throat of one person and then throws that throat into the person's face and then punches him. Brilliant. That scene rewrote the rules of what a comic book hero is supposed to do. Whilst Blade is one of the most significant comic book films of all time, if not the most significant comic book of all time, it's also a significant movie. Because The Matrix came out 1 year after Blade. It's incredible the similarities between Blade and The Matrix. Both films, you got the key protagonist trying to wake people up to make them find out this is what the real world is all about. They both wear sunglasses, they wear leather coats, and use martial arts to dispense with their enemies. In Blade, you also see the first bullet time sequence, which was more refined in The Matrix. So it's just incredible how significant Blade is. 2 sequels followed after this. Blade 2, directed by Guillermo del Toro. For a sequel, it was a very strong follow-up under Guillermo del Toro's direction, and it was a more faster-paced movie. And then you had the mess that was Blade Trinity, which was written and directed by David S. Goyer. And that was the death knell in the franchise for me, and at one point I even had that in my DVD collection.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
But hey, what can I say? The power of marijuana. And now Mahershala Ali will be taken over as Blade. And I love that guy as an actor. I loved his role in Green Book, and he hasn't done that much action. So it raises a lot of questions in terms of, can he bring the same type of intensity and athleticism that Wesley Snipes brought to Blade? Will Marvel make Blade in the same hardcore fashion that it did the 1998 film? But Blade, it was very dark and very gritty for its time, and it still holds. So I will give this film a very fantastic, you see what I did there? 9 out of 10. So guys, that's my review. As always, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button so you can follow this channel. Hit the alarm bell as well so you can get notifications when my video is going to be uploaded. Give this video a like as well. Leave your comment with what is your favourite scene from Blade. And more importantly than that, what is your favourite Blade film? Comment down below and I shall see you all in the next film review. Take care.